did you see the shallow engine?
Shallow engine?
Like if you want to cultivate the paddy, then you have to give them the water by the shallow machine, we can say.
Yeah. I have seen.
Yes. So first 1 or 2 minutes you have to force it and rotate first by your hands. It's the manual shallow engine.
I cannot be succeed all the time, but the few times that I get success, I feel proud of myself that my students.
It also becomes the motivation for you.
Yes, it becomes motivation for me, right? Hello, dear audience. Welcome back to another podcast. We're doing our 5th podcast today, and in this podcast, we're going to be discussing about motivation, how it works, and how it helps students to get through their journey of learning English. Like always, we have Shakhawat sir with us for sharing his ideas with us. Welcome, sir, to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me.
And I'm your host, Medyasan Shobon, senior faculty of talenthut, and also doing this podcast. Okay, so sir, I want to start by asking in general question to you. That is, do you think that keeping oneself to be motivated is easy, or is it difficult?
Okay, thank you very much for asking this wonderful but a tricky question, because basically, you know, that motivation is a psychological discourse, basically. Right. And when we become conscious about our life, in that time motivation works. When we were a child, in that time the motivation doesn't work because we didn't know about the motivation, what works basically. In that time, we always like to have things to us. We demanded many things like toys, foods, chocolates to our parents. But when we are grown up, in that time, we started analyzing and understanding and also the critical analysis of motivation. So motivation is not tough in one sense. In another sense, motivation is tough. Motivation itself is a kind of navigator which basically directs us where and how I will go, and which give us the kind of food that help me to go forward if I have any destination. So I can say that motivation can be tough, motivation can be easy. It depends on the situation or the context.
Okay. So in our childhood, we really didn't think about motivation that much, but we were motivated in some ways to do something. So for a student to learn English, what would you recommend to them? Like, how can they stay motivated to learn English as spoken or to further IELTS?
Okay. Any kind of skill, if someone want to gain any skill, it is a rough journey. It's not easy. If you want to ride the bicycle, if you want to swim on the pond, and if you want to learn cooking, so everything needs the patience, hard work, and also motivation, because the journey of skill is the journey of disappointment. When you get disappointed, it's quite tough to back yourself again in the same position and keep yourself motivated till you touch your destination. There are two types of motivation basically. One is the intrinsic motivation and another is extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is totally external facts, like external things that comes around you. Suppose if I give any discount for my students, it becomes the extrinsic motivation for my students who are the IELTS aspirant or the course aspirant, that they would like to get themselves involved in the course. But you know that there are some students in our society who basically don't need any kind of discount. They are self-conscious. They think that, okay, I need to learn English. So I'm not looking for the discount. I'm looking for the best and quality course which help me to gain my skill. So I should choose something or someone or some institutions which help me to gain my skill in a proper way and give me the proper guide. So that's come from the intrinsic motivation, because the student intrinsic motivation is basically the internal motivation which comes from the deep of or from the core of the heart of students. So when a student is self-conscious, when a student become self-conscious, a student think of their career, students are very desperate to get his things done. So that time only the intrinsic motivation comes. So what we can do when we start any class with the spoken English students, we first time they don't have the intrinsic motivation to do something. So sometimes we need to force them to practice, or sometimes we praise them, we give them the compliment, okay, so that they become a little motivated to do the things.
Yes.
Because the skill doesn't come in a short way or overnight. So I would like to say we sometimes force, we sometimes create strong rules, we sometimes give them compliment, we sometimes give them gift. So all these things will work until their intrinsic motivation has raised. When it will have raised, we don't need to motivate them more. Then they will automatically do their work and they will gain the skill.
Okay, so you mentioned about inner motivation, meaning the motivation that comes from within, meaning the core of their heart.
Right.
So
from self-consciousness.
Yes, from self-consciousness. So what happens sometimes, students comes to an institute and they want to learn, but end of a class or end of the day, they tend to forget what was their
primary goal.
Yes, what was their primary role and what are they achieving, what are they trying to achieve. So they need to keep in the stage of consciousness. So the question that I'm trying to ask you as a teacher is that how can a teacher play a role to keep their student motivated?
Okay, the teacher has 6 roles, since I have said earlier. A teacher, out of these 6 roles, teacher himself or herself become a motivator for his or her students. Because you know that when a student come to join any course in our institution or any other institutions, they were not aware of the journey. They didn't know what will be their journey. Or when they start doing the class, when they start practicing and they see a lot of failures, after doing a lot of practices, so they lose their motivation. And when it is the duty of the teacher to identify whether the student is losing their motivation or not. If teacher can identify by different kinds of assessment, like sometimes we observe it by the facial expressions, body language, and sometimes we observe it by asking question to them, and they will give the answer. So sometimes the student themselves also share their problems with us. So that is how we can assess them. After assessing, this is the duty of the teacher, that teacher can give some good example, teacher can bring some successful example of the students, and teacher can show their past experience, history, and many things that relate to. Sometimes, suppose we have 24 classes, sometimes we see that the students are getting demotivated. In that time, we stop the method class and we start talking about the story, motivational story, or something like this to motivate them and keep them motivated. And that is work like rejuvenating something, and they start rejuvenating themselves, and again from the next class they again become motivated and start keeping learning.
They tend to work harder even in the next class.
Right.
So what happens with motivation? I have seen them. They tend to fade away with time. Motivation doesn't stay as they stay in the first day.
Basically, according to the science, the motivation work not more than 2.5 days.
Yes. So for that reason, to keep them motivated, a teacher has to play a role of a motivation speaker or someone who motivates.
Yes.
We have to keep that doing for 2 times in a week.
Right.
So
sometimes in between the lectures, so we also motivate our students for short time. Not for a long time, but short time we also keep them motivated. Sometimes we also give the compliment to our students. So in that time, the student, when they are praised, they become motivated as well.
A last thing I want to ask you, sir, is that can you tell us a way that we can shift motivation into discipline? Because I believe that discipline stays for longer period of time, maybe for rest of the life, but motivation fades away. Please, can you suggest to our viewers how can they become more disciplined?
Okay, so yes, it's true. I agree with you that discipline is a thing that will keep with you until you die if you don't want to break them. So did you see the shallow engine?
Shallow engine.
Like if you want to cultivate the paddy, then you have to give them the water
Yeah.
by the shallow machine, we can
Oh,
say.
yeah. I have
Okay,
seen.
yes. So first 1 or 2 minutes you have to force
Yeah, right.
it and rotate first
Yes.
by your hand.
I have
It's
two
the
types.
manual shallow engine. And after maybe the 5 to 6 rotation, then the engine automatically start
Yes.
and it keep going.
Yeah.
So motivation works like that, 5 to 6 times rotating.
Okay.
So if you just rotate, it will work like the motivation. So when the student first come, if you just think that, okay, I will strongly motivate our student or my student, and the student will start learning, and when they will be self-conscious or when their intrinsic motivation has been raised or will be raised, that from that time you don't need to motivate them more.
Okay.
So it will work like a shallow engine. It will then keep going.
Okay. It will become discipline.
It will become discipline, and when the discipline become habit, you don't need to work hard more on
Yeah.
them.
Okay. So the ultimate goal is to get them habituated.
Yeah, sometimes you cannot do many things by forcing. Sometimes motivation works to do something. Even,
Right.
in the whole world, we see a lot of leaders.
Right.
I say teachers are kind of leaders. So the leaders organize huge people against rules, against laws, against country, and then many war has been, we observe many in the world. So how the people organized? The people are organized by motivation.
Yes.
No one forced them to come to the war.
Right.
Becoming a soldier. People did it. Even if you want to compare with our war between the Pakistan and Bangladesh, in that time that things happened. The same. Nobody forced anyone to come to fight, but people eagerly go to the fight.
So from your views, from your points, I understand that it starts with motivation and ends with discipline and achieving the goals they desire.
Yes, by creating habits, and finally they will be able to be skilled.
Right.
Now, what do you think? This is my question to you.
Okay, sir.
Right. You are also the teacher.
Yeah.
Maybe you are not supporting all my information that I have given you. But do you have any other point of view regarding motivation? And or how do you motivate in your class?
So what I do, I try to tell them realistic stories. As I mentioned that it starts with motivation, but motivation fades away after some time. So I try to make them understand how important things are in life and what's their role in life, how they can create impact. And then what happens, most of them understand and they try to carry it on, and I try to force them into discipline. So like you mentioned, it becomes a habit. When it becomes a discipline, it becomes a habit. So I focus more on discipline than motivation. So that is something that I try in class. I cannot be succeed all the time, but the few times that I get success, I feel proud of myself that my students.
It also becomes the motivation for you.
Yes, it becomes motivation for me, right? That is a very nice point, sir. It becomes motivation for me to keep trying.
Okay. As a teacher, we also need the motivation.
Yes, we need
so
motivation.
We get, when our student gets succeeded, and when we also see the reflection of our hard work into the face of our student, then we get motivated.
Yes, it's like a reward, and reward helps me to keep going.
Right.
So I believe that reward helps everyone keep going. So reward is necessary. Okay, so I don't really have any more questions for you, and thank you for giving us all this information, and we have always learned a lot from you, sir. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for giving us time, and thank you, dear audience, to be with us, and thank you for you all were attentive, and hope to see you next time, and we'll be sharing more insights of Shakhawat sir, and we'll be discussing about more information in the next podcast. Till then, stay safe, stay with us, stay with Talent Hut. See you next time.